A while back I made a theory about how Squidward and his species are descendants of the Atlanteans. I liked it, you guys liked it, and I have some more evidence backing up this theory. So here we are with part 2. Sit back, enjoy, subscribe if you'd like, and let's dive in. The first new point, and something I can't believe I didn't mention in my first video, is that Squidward is the character with the most knowledge about Atlantis. In fact, he and Sandy are the only ones who even know what the Atlantean amulet does. Sandy is already the smartest character in the show, and we expect her to just know things, yet Squidward is portrayed as more knowledgeable, and even does most of the exposition about Atlantis. Plus, he doesn't just talk about the parts of Atlantis he's interested in. He seems to know everything about this lost city, from its history, to its culture, to its most valuable artifact. That's also why Squidward's knowledge of the city is so outdated, because Atlantis has made so much progress since Squidward's ancestors left. For this next point, I have to reference another theory I made about how Goofy Goobers is actually an Atlantean outpost. I think it's one of my more solid SpongeBob videos, and to summarize, the theory is that the Atlanteans use ice cream as weapons to make their victims more suggestible. The Atlanteans then expose them to important parts of their culture, like bubbles and music, to make it easier to conquer their targets when they finally invade. And Goofy Goobers is using this strategy to get Bikini Bottom ready to be invaded by the Atlanteans. Their employee training videos even say to willingly submit to their alien overlords when they arrive. So that's the main idea. And something I didn't notice until much later is that there's a secret hiding in the triple gooberberry sunrise. On the surface, it seems to be a normal ice cream sundae, but look closely at the eyes. One of them is always blue, and the other is always green, which is interesting because those are the exact same eye colors as L or H, the leader of the Atlanteans. They both even have that big red smile. That supports the idea that Goofy Goobers is trying to indoctrinate people into Atlantean culture. In this case, they make their ice cream look like important figures from Atlantis to give their targets a positive association with them. Okay, cool, but what does that have to do with Squidward? Well, in the background of the episode The Goofy Newbie, we can see a triple gooberberry sunrise, but it looks just like Squidward. I don't think it is Squidward. I think this is another image the Atlanteans want their customers to be familiar with. They're true forms without the robotic body modifications. Because another point in my last theory was that since we can see the Atlanteans have robotic bodies, it's possible that they are actually octopus-like creatures piloting mech suits. I also want to point out that the lead musician of the Goofy Goobers animatronic band is also an octopus-like creature. That's either a massive coincidence, or it's all a part of this conspiracy. And that actually leads me to some of the questions that you all have been asking about Squidward being an Atlantean. The one I've heard most often is that Squidward is actually an octopus. He calls himself an octopus in the show, and he even turns into a giant octopus in the episode Feral Friends. This is a point I probably could have explained better. It's a common trope for aliens to be depicted as octopus-like creatures in media. Think of the Daleks from Doctor Who, or the Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're octopus-like creatures that control more humanoid robot bodies. But take one of those aliens out of their body, toss them in the ocean, and people might start mistaking them for a regular octopus. And that's at least what I was trying to get at. Squidward's species is definitely octopus-like, and they probably call themselves octopuses because they forgot where they came from. But they are ultimately from another planet. And we know this because Squidward and the rest of his kind are certainly not ordinary octopuses. In the world of SpongeBob, we see that octopuses tend to be purple, have 8 arms, and have a beak instead of a nose. Compare that to Squidward's 6 tentacles, big nose, teal color, and wide lips. All those features make him look more related to the Atlanteans than the octopuses. And that's actually a perfect segue to the next most common question I've received. If the Atlanteans are in robotic bodies, then why do I say that them having similar facial features to Squidward is evidence to support the idea they're related? That's a really good question, and something I actually thought about explaining, but ended up cutting out the last video for pacing. The Atlanteans are piloting robot bodies. That's basically confirmed. But their facial features seem to be part of their original bodies. For starters, their faces are a different color from the rest of their bodies, showing that there's some kind of difference. They're also shown to eat and drink actual food. That shows that their mouths are biological, which makes it likely that the rest of their faces are real as well. So that explains why Squidward's species and the Atlanteans have similar facial features, but different body types. And that concludes all the new stuff that I wanted to talk about with this theory. Now, this video was only possible because so many of you commented on the first Squidward Atlantean theory I made. And the discussion that was happening there made me want to revisit this theory and talk a bit more about it. And hey, if there's enough new evidence for any of my old theories, and if you guys like this kind of video, I might make more of these theory updates in the future. So keep commenting. Let me know what you think, and I'll see all you wonderful people in the next video. Goodbye.